Hi preschool friends, it's teacher Janelle. Today I wanted to do some painting with you, and I wanted to paint a heart since we have been talking about Valentine's Day in our class. So in order to do the project today with me, you're going to need a piece of paper. I sent home some easel paper, but if you don't have easel paper at your house, you can just use a big piece of white paper. But you're going to need a piece of paper. You're also going to need some sort of a paint palette. So I had this at school, but you could use a tray at home. You could even use a paper plate, okay? But you're gonna need some sort of a paint palette. You're going to need some red paint on one side of the palette and some white paint in a different part, okay? And you're also going to need a couple of paint brushes. So I'm going to let you go ahead and gather those supplies. Feel free to pause the video if you need to. Gather those supplies and then come on back. In order to paint today, we're first going to need to cut out a heart. And so what we're going to do is you're going to get, again, that piece of white paper, and we're going to cut out a heart. And the way that we do that, or the way that I do it, is I take that piece of paper and I fold it in half. So it started off as a really big piece of paper, and I fold it in half like this. All right, and I make sure that I have a nice crease. And you might need a grown-up to help you with this next part. You then take a marker, and this is going to tell you where to cut. Okay, so you're going to open up your marker like this, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but you're going to draw a black line and a big curve all the way to the bottom, just like that. Okay, so get a grown-up to help you if you need help with that. After I draw my line, I'm going to use my scissors to cut out my heart. So I'm going to start where I started at the top. And I'm going to try as best I can to follow around until I get to the bottom. Okay, I might need to turn it around in order to help me do that. And if I open it up, I have a heart. I'm going to go ahead and put my heart up on the board behind me. If you're doing this, you don't have to hang it up behind you, but I'm going to hang it up behind me so you can see what it is I'm doing. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put tape on this heart, and I'm going to hang it up behind me right here. All right, there it is. Thank you. Okay. Now, I said that we were going to do some color mixing today, and I said you were going to need red and white paint. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put red paint on this side of my heart. So I'm going to go ahead and use my palette. I'm going to dip my paintbrush in red paint. And on this side of my heart, I'm going to paint this side red. Okay? I'm going to paint this side red. It's probably important to also mention that if you ever are painting, that you always ask a grown-up before you paint. Really important. And what I did on my board today was I actually put a piece of paper behind my heart so that if I decided to paint off my heart by accident, it wouldn't get on my board. So I'm going to go ahead and continue painting red. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and when I come back, we'll start on our next section. All right, friends, so I've painted about half of this side of the heart red. And you can see this little fold line in the middle. So that means I've got about a half of this side that's still blank. And I have this whole other half that I've not painted yet. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to take the other brush that I've not used yet, and I'm going to paint this other side of the heart on the far edge white. And it might be kind of hard for you to see, but I'm painting that side white, and I'm going to paint it all the way down. Make sure, just like I did with the red, that I fill up the whole edge of that heart and I do it white. All right, so I know it's kind of hard to see, but in a minute you'll be able to see it better. I'll move it closer. Okay, so I've painted now this part of my heart red, this part of my heart white. And I wonder what would happen if we mixed white and red together. What might happen? So I'm going to go ahead and take this paint palette again. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to take my red paint and I'm going to go ahead and put it in the middle of my palette. You can really see, I'm going to put it in the middle. And I'm going to put a little bit more in the middle. And then I'm going to take my white brush and I'm going to put just a little bit of white in with that red. All right, a little bit of white in with that red. So if you can see it there, and move my brush. I put a little bit of white in with that red. And then with my red brush, I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to mix that white and I'm going to mix that red together. I only did a little bit of white this time. I didn't do a lot of white. I just did a little bit of white. All right, and I'm going to keep mixing. I might take a little bit more white. And I might put a little bit more white in there, but you don't need a lot. I'm going to mix it up. And what I should start to see as I start to mix in more of the red, I should start to see a pink start to show up. I'm going to go ahead and paint it for you so you can see what that looks like. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and paint this section now. And you might be able to notice a little bit of a different color. It's not a huge difference. It's still pretty dark, but it looks like it's got a little bit more pink in it. So I'm going to go ahead and paint that on that side of the heart, the pink that I made. All right. I'm going to go ahead and mix that all up. I'm going to go ahead and paint that side, kind of a darker pink. And the shade might be a little bit different depending on where you mixed the paint. So you can probably see the red over here, the pink over here. We still have this section that doesn't have any paint. So this time I'm going to go ahead and take my white brush, and I've got my white paint over here. I'm going to take a little bit of red paint and I'm going to mix it in with that white paint. All of the white paint that was left in my palette. I'm going to add just a little splash of red. Okay, a little splash of red. And I'm going to mix it into the white paint. And I'm doing that, and then I will go ahead and show you my palette in just a minute. So you can see. I don't know if you can see. Here it is on this side. I took a little bit of red from this side and I mixed it in with all the rest of the white on the other side. And now I have a different shade of pink that you can go ahead and paint on your heart. It's a different shade of pink. It seems that if I use just a little bit of red with all of the white, it was going to give me a lighter shade of pink. And if I went ahead and did more red and a little bit of white, oops, it would give me a darker shade of pink. So if I want to lighten a dark color, I can add, if I want to darken a light color, if I want to lighten a dark color, I can add a little bit of white and it'll make it just a little bit darker. If I really, really want to lighten a darker color, I'm going to add a lot of white and just a little bit of the darker color, and it'll create a different shade. I'm going to move my computer so you can actually see the different colors that I did today and how I mixed them together. If you do this project at home and you'd like to show your classmates how you blended red and white and the different shades of pink that you made, I'd love for you to post it on our class Padlet. I hope you enjoyed my project, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!